Okay.
Oh, whoa.
Wait, do you guys know that my first time having, I'm not even just saying this, it just came into my brain. My first time having an Uncrustable was actually 2 days ago. In my whole life, I was afraid of jam. Or is it jelly?
It's jelly.
It's
Wait,
fake
so you
jelly.
watched me eat them 4 times a week?
And I never
at
knew
work?
why. And now I eat them for dinner every single night. It's the only thing in my fridge.
So your
So
nutrition.
now you understand my addiction.
Well, okay. The nutrition aspect of that for dinner.
yeah, you.
What do you
need
eat
to
during the
other things.
day?
Anyway,
okay.
so how are you guys
anyway,
doing?
Okay. Good morning.
But you understand my addiction now, right? Fun fact:
I do.
our crafty guy banned me from getting them on a daily
Why?
basis. I wish I was kidding,
But why?
because he was worried about my health. Because I would have one every single day, and then sometimes 2 a day if it was a rough day.
Okay, so
it's
I
possible.
feel like
Speaking of eating, we did so much of that in Puerto Rico. This past week.
That was such a seamless segue.
that was really good.
When I was visiting
Wow.
Alycia in Puerto Rico, and I became
the accent comes out.
and
you
when I
sound like
was
one of those white
visiting-
people that go to a foreign
Listen,
country for the
I
first
became
time.
a Puerto Rican
Where'd you
queen.
go?
I now have a playlist called Aircon.
Why
and-
aircon?
What does that mean?
Because you need to have air conditioning in Puerto Rico, and it's all Puerto Rican music. And yes, every song is Bad Bunny.
Oh,
obsessed.
good. Well,
Like,
Bad Bunny. You know, he was on another date with Kendall Jenner last
I can't
night.
talk about it. Moment of silence. Anyways, El Conejo Malo, like, I knew people were obsessed with him, but being in Puerto Rico, like, they are injecting him, like, in their veins. You can't go to a coffee shop. You cannot go to a club.
Without-
Like, you just hear him at all times.
I did feel like I fit in very well in Puerto Rico. Do you not agree?
Do you want like a seal of approval?
I'm
Like,
just saying, do you
What
not
does that
agree?
As
even
an
mean?
Afro-Latina, what are your thoughts on me
Um,
being...
No, but I genuinely, I
What does
love
that
spending
mean?
time with you. I love celebrating you
No.
on your beautiful show with your beautiful castmates who are so lovely and so kind. And I just also love, everything that we did together.
See, I hope you know, like, I couldn't be more grateful for you. It was so special. We did have the best trip. And yes, Josie fit in very well in Puerto Rico.
I will just be honest right now and say the trips that you guys have had together, I have such FOMO.
Stop.
I have such FOMO. If I could just leave everything and all the commitments I have behind and travel with you guys, I would.
We love you.
I'm so excited today because I have one of my favorite people in the room right now who you guys have both met.
Speaking of birthday trips.
Yes, she
Yes.
just had her birthday trip in Mexico City. One of the most talented actresses that I know. She's going to get really uncomfortable when I'm saying this. Literally one of the most beautiful people I've literally ever met, and someone who I've grown to love over the past year and I feel like gotten close with, and I'm just honored to live life with, is the queen herself, Alisha Boe.
Woo! Welcome to the
Wow.
pod.
what an intro. That was amazing. Thank
A
you.
little sap.
Huh?
A little sap.
Yeah, I
but-
love it. Should I go for you too?
No, please don't.
Josie and Tota.
Yeah.
Literally gonna.
Let me count the ways I love you.
Wow.
Me and Josie spent 8 months in Edinburgh, Scotland together
Wow.
in a corset in the freezing cold
Hot.
and living in
Dying.
basically dorms.
Yes,
With a bunch of college kids.
with only cool toned materials.
Yeah, it was like living inside of an IKEA.
was.
It was.
Scandinavian dream.
Yeah,
Love.
literally. And I don't think I could have survived that time without Josie. It was my first time working outside of the country
Oh, same.
for an
really?
extended amount of time. I mean, like, you know, it's just when you have to leave all of your friends and family
Yeah,
behind.
it's a lot.
Like, you know, acting like sure can be glamorous sometimes, but also most of the time it's just a lot of hotel rooms. You're alone. You don't really know anyone. Who knows if like you're gonna make like close like bonds or relationships with who you're working with. But thank God I had you, because honestly, you were like my safe space that whole time. I think I would have gone crazy without you.
Same. I feel the same. I literally love you. Okay, I'm done.
Aw, you guys are adorable.
But I think that you mentioned something really important, which is that, that was both of our first times going outside of the country. And I think that is such a big
To work.
change.
We've been outside of the country. Wait, had you been outside
Well,
of the
no,
country?
for a project.
Yeah. Mhm.
But speaking
She's
of,
like,
but going across the country, especially you did the opposite when you were born, because you were born in Europe. You were born in Norway, which I feel like a lot of people don't know about you, even though I feel like you've talked about it.
Really?
in a lot
I
of
feel like
interviews.
that's my whole personality trait is be like, hi, I'm Alicia. I was born in Norway. You wouldn't guess, huh?
I'm an immigrant,
Like,
actually.
did you know that
weirdly, people
I'm
I'm actually
yeah,
Like,
really?
different.
you guys didn't know.
I didn't know.
I
I was just
thought-
gonna say it's definitely not your whole personality because
Oh.
I had no idea.
Really? Because
No.
I always feel like I always. Oh yeah. Well, hello. My name's Alicia.
Okay.
I was born in Norway. I'm.
America.
Thank you, Tusen Tuck. I'm half Norwegian, half Somali.
Cool.
And my mom and I moved from Oslo to Los Angeles when I was 7 because she met a man.
Okay.
My stepfather,
Okay,
American.
Mm.
And then we were like, Oslo, 8 months of winter, or LA, like, you know, sunshine. So
Oh.
The
we
choice was
made,
made.
yeah, we
Yeah.
made the
But
big
your mom
migration.
isn't Norwegian.
She is Norwegian.
Oh, okay, but she moved there.
No. My
She
mom,
moved to here because she met a man.
she moved to Los
LA,
Angeles because she met a man.
Understood.
My mom is super Norwegian, generations
Okay, that's
of
what I thought.
Norwegians. Yes.
Okay.
And my dad was born in Somalia, and then there was the war, the civil war in the 90s and late 80s, and he escaped the war. And at 17 years old, he was adopted by a Norwegian who he had met a couple of years prior, just like showing him around Mogadishu.
Wow.
And then he was in a bit of trouble escaping the war. He called up my grandpa now and said, I really need help. And my grandpa went over and adopted him and brought him to Norway and raised him
Wow.
as his own.
Wow.
Yeah, and then 5-6 years later, he met my mom and, you know, had me.
Wow, that's
For a
Yeah.
second, I thought you were saying that your mom's dad adopted him. And I was like, that is so strange. But so just a man adopted him who.
Yes.
Okay.
That would have been crazy. Is that legal?
Um,
like, could
I
you?
don't.
Wouldn't that have been iconic though?
Yeah.
What if it was easy to just adopt a kid where you're like, today I just feel like adopting a child.
Yeah.
And you just file paperwork online. It's kind of like registering yourself to like donate blood.
It's a crazy process
It is.
Yeah.
to adopt a
They
child.
make it so
It's-
hard, especially for queer people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for queer people.
Yeah.
It's
They're
super
like, you're
rigorous.
gay, you don't get kids.
Yeah.
There's also the problem of no one wanting to adopt children in this country and wanting them to be of another nationality and it being like this sort of tokenism, like
Yeah.
designer baby thing, which is
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oof. Yeah, we were having this conversation. But I think that's so special. I didn't know your dad was adopted. My older siblings are adopted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom adopted them when I was like a baby.
Oh, wow.
So that is so
How
cool.
many siblings do you have?
Ooh, girl, too many to count. It's
Really?
a real blended family. There's, I think some I don't know about, but it's okay.
Yeah. I have a
but-
couple I don't know about either.
It's
So
okay. Wait, so speaking of family, your mom had married your stepfather, and then
Mhm.
you were here at 7 years old. And then did you guys just stayed in LA?
yeah,
And you've been here ever since.
yeah. Ever since, so I'm a Valley girl through and through. Really. 'cause,
Okay.
Where in the
like,
valley?
I grew up in West Hills, Canoga Park area.
Yes.
Went to El Camino, if anyone knows it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
not one person
Cool.
here.
Yeah,
okay.
not one.
Yeah.
But we respect
But we live in the valley.
Okay,
But,
incredible.
deep. It was one of those things where it's so deep in the valley that I think I'm probably wrong, but I think Woodland Hills might be the end of the west side of San Fernando Valley. And then by that point, it was like a 20-minute drive over Malibu Canyon. And that's how I spent like all my summers where there was this dollar beach bus
No
that
way.
would pick us up in Calabasas High School.
Real bougie. I love it.
In the parking lot, and then all of these teenagers would just hop on this bus, and we'd go to Tower 7 at Zuma
Mm.
Beach. And I hated where I grew up when I was, growing up because I'm like, ugh, it's so boring. But looking back, it was literally like, I don't know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High or something.
Mm.
It was a quiet,
Like quintessential.
very quintessential
experience.
Californian. All of the parents were probably like ex-hippies from Topanga Canyon or something.
Wow.
So it was an interesting thing.
Which-
I
Oh
love
my
that.
And you
Yeah.
talk about like coming to America, and you said that your mom saw you like doing like cartwheels and like jumping up and down,
Oh,
like first
Oh,
getting
and I
here.
love you for remembering that.
What do you think the first thing that you saw here was the most jarring compared to Norway that really stood out to you?
That's a really good question. You know what? I think it was. I mean, obviously the vast landscapes and how empty the streets are, really. Because Oslo's a metropolitan city, and you can, walk around and be self-sufficient. The second I moved to the valley, which is very spread out, I wasn't allowed to walk down the street by myself. And I was used to being able, there was a 7-Eleven I lived by. I lived in front of the 101 freeway behind Ventura Boulevard
Okay.
in like an apartment complex.
Yeah.
And there was a 7-Eleven on that corner. And when I was a child, like 5-6 years old, my mom would send me to the corner shop in Norway to like get her stuff.
Yeah, go pick up a,
Yeah,
like a chocolate
I'd
bar or
walk to
something.
school, to kindergarten, which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
When you grew up in America. And I wasn't allowed to do that anymore. And I just felt like a little part of my freedom had been taken away.
Yeah.
Because
Not your
it's
little
so...
childhood independence.
Yeah, like I couldn't take my bike around. And that was the biggest thing. But other than that, it was just the heat. Woodland Hills, West
Horrific.
Hills, Canoga Park is like the hottest area in
Yeah.
LA. I would have heat strokes 3 times a week.
Yes.
Because my body wasn't
that's
used to
Yasmine
it.
No,
into
do you have
Really?
like a sweating problem?
Not anymore, no.
Oh, how did you get rid of that? How did you get rid of that? Because I'm
Oh,
still
not like
figuring that
you.
out.
No.
Like my body temperature runs at like 190 degrees.
Oh, yeah. But
baseline.
you know what? I have night sweats. I will wake
I don't
up.
have night sweats.
I wake up and I'm like, did I pee? Did I pee?
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
bed
yeah.
is soaking
Yeah,
wet.
it is.
And I don't know what that's about. I hope that's not an underlying
We
health
can
issue.
talk about
but-
that. We could talk about that because my scalp, I was thinking about getting Botox on my head because it,
Yes.
it paralyzes the muscle. But then I like went for a consultation. They're like, yeah, it's around like 300 pokes.
Oh.
And I was like, listen,
no.
and it only lasts for like 4 to 6 months.
No.
And I said, I'd rather just sweat and put my hair in a sleek bun, snatch,
Yes.
and have it sweat than
It's-
have 300 needles every 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, it's like that look is good. It's like a Bella Hadid.
It's
like,
a Bella Hadid snatch. Like,
Yeah, it's so
I love it. I
chic.
need a little bit more oil in my dry hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's such.
in
My
my
hair's
dry.
falling out and so
No.
dry and brittle and gross.
and that's the LA heat.
yeah,
LA heat will do that to you.
yeah.
And Norwegian was your first. Is that the?
Oh my gosh,
Your
yeah,
first language.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I love that.
Yeah, so I didn't speak any English when I came to America. I had a thick Scandinavian accent. Yeah, Norwegian was my first language, and I completely forgot my first language. And in forgetting my language, you kind of lose a part of your identity because
Yeah.
my whole family still lives there.
Mm.
And so we've been going back. I mean, we go back every Christmas,
Yeah.
at least once a year. And I mean, there is a huge disconnect because it's such a big part of my identity. But then culturally, because I don't speak the language anymore, there is this disconnect. But I mean, I've been saying for years now that I'm going to relearn it, and it's one of those things. It's such a small language, and it's hard to find tutors.
Yeah,
It's hard.
I know what you're saying though, because I feel like once you I knew Arabic growing up, and then I lost it all, and then
Did you? Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
so
know
like, and
that.
then I'm trying to get back into it now. Like I took Arabic in college, and it's
Oh,
so
wow.
much harder. But no matter what, there is still that memory
Yes.
ingrained in your head.
Yeah, there's certain things that I still remember and can comprehend when my family are speaking.
Yes.
And the only problem is that my family is from this town called Trondheim, which is like a little bit more north of Oslo.
Okay.
And they have completely different dialects.
Mm.
I remember getting into arguments with my cousin because, like, let's say in when you're speaking the Oslo dialect, you would say for the number 7, you would say siv, and my cousin says shu. So it's like these crazy
Yeah.
different pronunciations, and we'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. Like you're not speaking the language correctly.
Yeah.
When
Please.
so when I go back, I'm listening to my family speak this different dialect that I didn't grow up speaking
So
because
it's even more. It's like
it's-
double confusing.
Yes, exactly. But yeah. But we just did a show for the show that we worked on together. We worked with Christine Froseth, who is super
Also
Norwegian
Norwegian.
and from the same area that I grew up in, and I didn't
No.
utilize her. I didn't.
Once in a while, you guys would
try,
riff.
but then she just get frustrated because she's like, "Oh gosh, I can't."
It's the way you said
speak."
it. I didn't utilize her.
Yeah.
That's what got me.
She does speak it really well.
Well, it's her. I mean, she's fully like both her parents are Norwegian. She's been back and forth.
yeah.
She's
From
very Norwegian.
Jersey to
Jersey Norwegian girl.
which
Yeah.
is iconic.
You obviously talked about your connection to your Norwegian culture.
Mhm.
Like, how did you navigate being this young Black Norwegian girl coming to LA? Because
Somali
or-
and black.
yes, Somali and Black. Because I know specifically for me, I think I'm perceived differently depending on what country I'm
Mhm.
in. So have you experienced that? Also being in Scotland, how was that?
Yeah.
I feel like I asked you a bunch of questions. You
no,
choose.
I got you. I'll answer all of them. You know what's actually so funny about moving from Oslo to Los Angeles is that my school in Oslo was way more diverse than the school I went to in LA.
Huh.
Really?
Because I was living in a place where there was a lot of immigrants in this place called Sinsen, which is a lot of Somali, a lot of like Middle Eastern people. There were 2 fully Norwegian girls in my class. Everyone else were people who looked like me or from different places, just immigrants really. And I moved to probably the whitest place in the valley, I think.
Yep.
And I was maybe one of 5 black kids in my elementary school. And, you know, the culture of being black in America, in the United States of America, is United States of sorry.
That was
my
crazy.
brain
So formal.
is,
I was like,
I know.
Not America.
But it's completely different from being African, which I was used to with my dad. Just, you know, the African culture is just different from, you know, African American culture.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, I quickly realized that there were certain ways I was meant to act to other people to make them feel more comfortable
Yeah.
and be like, no, you're black. You're supposed to be acting like this way. You're supposed to be acting like this. And I was just so confused. I was a child. And it was, you know, it was racist. Like kids were inherently racist because of, you know, generationally, culturally, how they grew up. And it was, I felt really insecure. I felt othered. I felt like I wanted to conform, as any kid wanted to do. Didn't want an accent. I didn't want to look too different. I didn't want to, you know, I wanted straight hair. You know, I wanted to just conform, which is so heartbreaking, really. And it was hard trying to fit in because I felt like I couldn't really fit in anywhere in that way. And then speaking to being like just going to different countries, there is something that I realize the more older I get is that I actually have to think about, you know, as you know, I think everyone sitting on this couch actually has to think about if we're going to be safe in a certain country or even a state in America.
Yeah.
And I dated an Italian.
The Italian.
It was like
the 2 pasta recipes.
Yes. No, Josie's just heard so much about it because I learned how to cook pasta and I only know how to make it for 2 people. And it always ended with like, because I dated an Italian guy for a couple of years.
But that's fun. That's fun to say. What's it? Because I dated an Italian.
Yeah, just so you know, because like
this
I
is
know
authentic.
what Chianti wine is because
Right.
I know,
Every
she's
time I see
cultured.
Chianti on the menu, I think of you.
yeah, literally.
You're like, so
She's
I know all the
cultured,
different types
period.
of pasta. There's linguine,
There's,
rigatoni.
like, and also this isn't actually Italian. This is Italian American, and people in Italy don't actually eat meatballs with
And
their
because
spaghetti.
do you know why?
I
Because
I dated an Italian.
The pasta
Anyway,
water al dente 4 times in a row.
let me bring it down real bad. I never felt more
She said, let me take a hard
attacked.
shift. You're like, all right, so going there.
I've never felt more othered and attacked.
Oh gosh.
And then I had felt in Rome when I spent my pandemic months in Rome.
Oh gosh.
And
With the Italian boyfriend.
With the Italian boyfriend. And I had never, which was so interesting because I was in Italy and I'd spent time in the deep south before and I was expecting to feel, you know, it was just an unexpected place. Like we were in a restaurant for my birthday and all of these older Italian women were looking at me with this pure, sheer disgust that your gut feeling knows like, oh my God, they're looking at me because I'm of the way I look and because I'm black and how dare I be in this restaurant. I remember going to the bathroom and this woman didn't want to wash her hands after me. Like it was like it was something I read in history books of like, oh my gosh, we're not experiencing this in 2023, 2020 when it was, but like it was jarring. It was scary. And in Scotland, we were doing a period drama, so we'd have to spend a lot of times in these stately homes that go back to like the 17th, 18th century. And the memorabilia there is just, you know, the history of the world. There was one location where there was like those.
Gollywog.
Yeah, that golly. That's how it's called.
Yeah.
Gollywog,
Which
and
is
it's
it sounds racist.
it sounds so.
It's
and
a
it was
racist toy.
It's a racist
that
doll.
they used to play with.
It's like blackface basically, and it was just
like a minstrelsy toy.
Yeah, it was, and it's just. Yeah, so it's strange. It's you kind of all it's strange thing navigating in this world.
Based on environment and
specifically
when you were living in Italy, that was not just any time. It was the summer of 2020.
Yes.
And was so turbulent. And I feel like for so many people here, obviously, especially Black people that were living in LA, were experiencing such a visceral time that you can obviously attest to more than I can. I can't even imagine being isolated away from community.
Yeah.
Because I think that was something that you speak about a lot.
I say it all the time. Like, I think that was one of the most difficult years of my life. And mind you, I want to decenter myself from the conversation. Like, the people who were on the ground every single day, creating mutual aid funds, and literally having their life at risk on a daily basis in very aggressive ways, those are the people that I think will deal with the repercussions of that time more so than someone like me. Like, yes, I protested and engaged in activism, but all that goes to say, even though it was a super disheartening, difficult time here in America, and I think for Black folk across the country, across the diaspora, one of the only reasons that I think I was okay and I survived was because of community and camaraderie. And that is what I was thinking of the whole time of you talking. Like, I was like, one, how awful, and thank you for sharing. But two, you had to do that without other like Black people around you, or like without your community, like, and camaraderie. Like, how have you found that, like, on set or when you're alone? Like, you talked about the solitude that comes with acting and how it's not as glamorous as people think. How have you found community, like, in your Blackness, and just like as a woman, like, how have you found like your peace on set while working and navigating acting, whatever this crazy world is?
Oh, wow, that's a good question, because I'm still finding it. I still, to this day, find myself being maybe one of two people who are of color on the set that I'm on. And I find that I find myself being a bit upset that it's up to me most of the time to have to speak up for myself where I shouldn't have to. And I'm so grateful for when I have people that I'm working with that recognize that and speak up for me, because it's tiring and it's unfair. Because I think as much as this industry likes to say that, we are changing and it's getting better, it's just untrue, really.
100%.
It's tokenism at best. And there's so much Black talent in this industry. And, when they're behind the scenes, like, when you're watching a television show, like, oh, this is real.
Feels sincere.
This is
and it's
sincere.
authentic.
And this is authentic. And those are the projects I want to be a part of. But, it's been, with my career so far, the shows and movies I've been on, you can just, look, I'm usually the one Black girl in it, or one of three maybe, or one of two. But like, they're predominantly, white stories that I'm supporting, I guess. And that's not to say that I've had really great characters with great arcs, but that's just the reality of it. And I'm still navigating it. I'm still, trying to figure out how I can. It's also building my own confidence as a woman in a business sense, and how to advocate for myself. And it's something that I haven't perfected yet, but it's a learning experience. And it's just, I think it's important, like when you meet people like Josie, who will stand up for you no matter what, which is honestly like maybe one of the first times I've had someone do it so visibly for me. Josie's just stood up for me a lot in the work sense. Even, and it obviously in my personal life. So seeing that made it clear to me that it made it clear to me that it's not really my responsibility all the time.
Yeah,
it's not.
No.
Like, I shouldn't have to be it's exhausting.
I think there's a fine line, because yes, always advocate for yourself, but at some point that is not educating people, checking people. It is not your responsibility.
Exactly.
It is the people around you who are not going through your experience to stand by you and stand with you. I think do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with you we were in the drive back from like one of the first pre-production days where they threw us in a lake, and it was like 20-degree lake, Fahrenheit lake, and we were in wetsuits. And they had to see how long we could like last. And
it's like an episode of Survivor when we're repeating it, because that's wild.
That they bust us all.
Let's just back.
Wait,
Yeah.
also,
Can you pick this picture, please?
We never spoke about that day.
No,
after
wait.
that.
Let's explain this.
Yeah.
There was a scene that we had to shoot where we all had to jump into a real like waterfall lake. And so basically they had to test how long each of us could last in a lake to see who would go in the lake, right?
Yeah,
for
they
the
had to, like,
longest.
approve it, yeah.
So they had to
So, like,
approve
you guys
it.
wouldn't get injured.
Yeah,
And it was
I
the most
guess
cold water
that I'd ever been in.
yeah,
They said
the
ice
whole
bath,
life.
plunge, pause
Exactly.
studio.
But like basically they were timing us while we're all in a lake with wetsuits on the day. We're not wearing wetsuits, but they were like, okay, Alicia could last 30 seconds, Josie could last 40 seconds, and they're like, okay.
You could last 40?
I don't remember.
Well, to be fair, I was in there the longest out of all the girls. They did tell me that.
Oh my god.
Okay,
I did
flex.
I did swim around.
Okay, settle.
But the boys were like insane. They were like
they loved it.
Olympians.
Yeah.
But I remember being in the car ride home and speaking to you, and we stopped by to see some cows with our driver. None of us
yeah.
remember his name. Do you remember his name?
No, but he was so lovely.
Anyway.
Stuart.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I'm awful. Your driver. Well, he was your driver. To be fair,
He was not
had-
my driver.
Who was your driver? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Rat, right?
Rat.
You
I
had
had
Rat.
a driver named Rat. But David,
had Kevin.
little David would drive me a lot. And
I
then
had
I
Kevin and
loved the
Ian.
days when Ian would drive me.
Ian drove you in the beginning.
Yeah. I love Ian.
And then I had him.
I love Rat.
Yeah, Rat.
I don't know why, but I stand with Rat.
Rat is a cool
And then
guy.
David, little David and big David.
Yeah. I love them all.
I love them all too. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know
just
what.
named
out
all the
Transpo
drivers.
team.
We
Yeah.
just-
That was just to test our brains.
Yeah.
Wait, but anyway,
What did we say in the car, Josie?
sorry, I know I'm awful. I don't know how to tell a story. But in the car, I literally said to you, I was like, you are going to have a very different experience
Yeah.
than we are. And this is in the very beginning. And Christine was in the car as well. And I was like, people are probably going to say shit to you, and it's not going to be fair and it's not going to be right, but it is our job to speak up about it, ours and mine and Christine's, and it's not yours, and like lean on us, but know that like we're not looking at this with rose-colored lenses either. And maybe you weren't in the beginning, maybe you weren't expecting it to be as whatever you made it out to be. I don't want to speak for you, but I think like there were certain moments where there are just ignorances, and it was not always malintentioned, but I could just feel you not necessarily knowing how to go about certain things because of the compassionate, kind person that you are. And also just the environment that you were in was just so predominantly white, and like, and no one was really, not many people really cared.
Yeah, because thank you so much. I remember that conversation, and it was no one had ever done that for me ever before on a set ever. So to feel protected by you was, I mean, it was the most meaningful thing ever. I felt safe, even when I was feeling uncomfortable or feeling lonely. I knew that I had you and that it would never be too much. So thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. I love you. Oh, what was I gonna say? The problem was twofold, because you're dealing with race and you're dealing with cultural differences. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I had a great time in the UK. People are nice. They are really nice.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
two truths can exist.
at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to reflect on, because it's strange living in a place where nobody looks like you. But then I'd go to London, and I lived like in the
Yeah.
Somali central of the world,
Right.
and it was just
Everybody was Somali.
everyone was Somali.
Guy and all his
Yeah.
Somali friends.
I cannot.
So like
Please.
it's that was amazing, because I'd never been around so many Somali people, like in that in a very, very, very long
Yeah.
time. And also there's a small community, but in London there's so many Eastern
There's
Africans.
so many.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
And in Scotland, there was little pockets.
There was little
There's
pockets.
if you go to Glasgow, I feel like
Yeah, we spent most of our
We-
time
we
in a very
love-
posh Edinburgh, but yeah,
but
I
we
loved
love
it.
Glasgow. And also, you like did. I don't want to keep talking about this one show, but like you did an incredible job. Like you were one of the leads of our show, and like
Oh.
we're so talented, and like your arc is beautiful. And every time I watch it in ADR, I think it's so stunning. And the last thing that I'm gonna say is that you were there for me too, as well. Like it does go both ways. I
Oh,
do
I'm
want you
glad
to know
that
that.
you-
Like I'm not trying to be just to keep it melodramatic or whatever, but I'm being serious. Like there, and I spoke to
I was just gonna say,
Alicia about this. Like
Josie doesn't speak about people the way she speaks about you. She's very kind, but she's one of the most truthful people I've ever met. And when she spoke about you, and I was so excited to like meet your lovely cast. Like I
Oh.
knew how special you were just because of like how Josie speaks about
yeah,
you.
she FaceTiming her, and it's like also as a best friend, but also like as like an older sister type thing. It's very. I was not worried, but concerned for her going away for 8 months in a new place. And I remember she was telling me you and Emmy, but like you were her rock during this time. And all I can say is thank you for doing that. Like as a best friend, like truly, because it's a scary place going to a foreign country, not knowing what you're doing with for work too,
Yeah.
as a young adult as well.
Yeah.
also just like even in this town, we don't have any trans people that are that close to us. That is just like the
Yeah.
fact of the matter in
Yeah.
our life. Like we
Facts.
have beautiful trans people in our lives that we love and we look up to, and MJ and India and all of these people that we see at events. But
Yeah,
you know,
but
they're a
they're
little
not
bit older
here.
than us, and
Yeah.
they have their own communities and they have their own lives. And like, so not to say that trans people don't exist in Los Angeles, they certainly do, but certainly in our circles, I'm the only one. And I think like, obviously you're not trans. I'm like outing you as trans. You're not trans.
I am.
Yes, you are. I'm not trans. But like, I just like, I struggled a lot like in the summer. And I just remember like having breakfast with you, and I was like crying to you about something, and you're like, I don't remember this, but I felt so. No,
You're
it's
so
fine,
annoying,
but
yo.
I'm not kidding. But I get so uncomfortable talking about that stuff. But like I don't know how to explain it other than to say is like I just felt seen by you, and I felt like you. And we're going to talk about positive things after this, but I do feel like you felt my pain, and you felt like my otherness. And even though we have very different experiences, I'm not Black, you are not trans yet. I did feel like we connected in that way, and it made me feel like I was going to be okay. And I
Yeah.
do not know if I would have lasted without that.
I feel exactly the same. Absolutely. I love you so much.
I love you too. And I'm so proud of you for many reasons, not only for this show, but the movie that just came out. And this was your first project after 13
COVID.
Reasons Why,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Because
Yeah.
this was
my
before
gosh.
Do Revenge, right?
Yes. It was I had not we wrapped 13 Reasons Why December 2019. And we knew it was going to be the last season. We were ready. We were like, okay, great. We told it was 4 seasons. We told a story.
Yeah.
Now it's time to graduate. How old was I? I think 2021. I was 22 years old when the show ended, and I'm 26 now.
Which is crazy because you booked the show when you were 19.
yeah.
That's
was that your first
insane.
acting role? Like
Not my first acting role, but my first series regular, like
Yeah.
big role, I would say.
incredible.
Yeah, and I was 19. Intense show, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah, it was so we finished the show December 2019, and then COVID happened, of course. I went to go to Italy with my Italian boyfriend
okay, yeah.
at the
Incredible.
time.
I love how he's like honestly a co-host on this podcast.
I know, like he's
we
right
should give
here.
him a producer's like credit. Hope he's
No.
well.
And me too. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I went March 6th, which is my birthday. And then obviously Italy was one of the countries that got hit the worst.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But you guys were singing on patios.
yeah, it was a beautiful
You
experience.
guys were a lot cuter than us. We were losing
Yeah.
our shit here.
Yeah.
People got
We
real
were-
nasty.
No, it was
and ratchet.
That's when we all moved in together.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
god.
it was
yeah,
crazy.
we saw the best and the worst real quick.
I want to
it
know about
was-
the arguments. I want to know about.
Oh, there's so many.
I would
different
like to say that
episode,
I was
babe.
never in an argument. I would. Oh my
Oh,
God.
girl, you better.
argument
The
was
receipts
never
are about to
Between
come.
us.
So we were losing our shit, but also falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
You were in Italy, and how long did you stay there before you worked on a project?
So I got stuck there, and then also like chose to stay there. And I was there for 6 months. And me and my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend that I had only been together with for 6 months at the time, spent the other
Whoa.
6 months together in quarantine.
What
That
are you
is-
doing?
that
You know
is
what
a
that is?
pandemic
No, I'm sorry.
relationship.
That is a gay relationship. That is gay.
That is lesbian.
quite gay in her
yeah.
relationship.
That is so U-Haul of you.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? You committed. You said I got this, boo. Might
I
as well.
know. And then anyway, I left. I went back home in September. I was going crazy. Couldn't get work. I hadn't read a script in so long. And then I got this gig in When You Finish Saving the World. And we filmed that in January in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting place.
How was New Mexico?
You know, it was the elevation was high.
Mm.
The
What the elevation
Wow.
was?
You get
was
drunk really
high.
quick.
It was high.
Lightheaded.
You,
I didn't
You
think
get
feel
fucked up off a
faint.
shot.
Yes, it was. It was crazy.
Didn't Jesse Eisenberg direct it?
Yes, so Jesse Eisenberg directed it. I played Finn Wolfhard's lover.
I'm pissing at that. Him just turning
way you
18
said
or
it.
something. How old is he?
No, he literally turned just 18. I was apprehensive to do it because I was 23 then at the time, and I'm like, Finn is, I mean, he's so tall now, but at that time, I'm like, maybe someone who's maybe closer to Finn's age should play this role, just so it makes sense a little bit in my head. But then I spoke with Jesse, and it made sense when he watched the film. I meant to remind him of his mother, who's played by Julianne Moore. And he has this crush on my character. I play this character named Lila. And we are kind of, it's like this push and pull weird relationship where I'm like, oh, you have all this passion and charisma, but it's all like just in the wrong places. And you're kind of cringy. And I kind of like, oh gosh, he's like an annoying little brother. And that's how our dynamic is meant to play on screen. And I'm like, so I took it. And also we don't kiss or anything in the movie, so it's
No,
like
it's not.
You said disclaimer.
There's no licorice pizza.
There's
No,
no like
whatever
Jennifer
that is.
Lawrence going.
well, I'm just gonna
Rocket.
say, because the only reason
Yeah.
why I was apprehensive is because I've been 17 years old having to kiss like a 36-year-old man,
Shit.
and
Shit.
it's
so sorry.
for a TV
Wait,
for a movie.
Which project?
So I did a movie with Matthew Gray Gubler. When I was I lied. I was 18. I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's
fine.
legal.
It's fine.
That's
that was
legal.
fine. But
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
just
sorry.
saying.
But that you can do that. No, I think there's a certain amount of gap when you're under
Years?
18.
No.
it's
I
like
was
7
of
years or
age because
something.
it was 2016. I was
Okay.
19
You're like,
years
I was
old.
12 years old having
Yeah.
to make out with Matthew
yeah,
Gray
you were like,
Gubler
I was.
in the back of a Volvo.
Yeah,
Please.
but it's just I feel like when there age gaps in Hollywood are kind of like they're
Normalized.
too normalized.
And
They're very-
romanticized.
It's also
Yeah.
very much like I feel like everyone has like dated someone who's been over the age of 30 and you're like just turned 20.
Yes,
Where it's like I
The
mean,
grooming
obviously,
is real
The grooming
here
is
in
real.
LA.
Also,
Yes.
I'm all for like love. You can't control love or whatever the fuck that's called. But what you can't control is the power dynamic that's happening.
yes,
And you see Leonardo DiCaprio and his like under 25 girls
yes.
and like all these rappers dating younger girls.
Yes.
It's just very, very odd.
Yeah, and it makes you look twice. It
Absolutely.
makes you
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about because then you also meet like parents who are 10, 15 years apart.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, oh, they
And that makes sense.
and
yeah.
they're like, oh my gosh, this seems good. But then it's the power dynamic that shifts it. And I just think also on television and movies, I mean, especially with women, I guess. So like women always have to be super young, and the men have this thing where they become more handsome the more.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gray wolf.
I.e.
The ageism
Daniel
is so
Craig
real.
and George Clooney, and like we're okay with just seeing them with 22-year-old girls, and it's
like that's normal.
misogynistic. It's so misogynistic because women aren't allowed to age gracefully or anything.
No, God forbid we age.
Like, oh my gosh, Emilia Clarke's Instagram photo blew up because people were like, wow, she looks her age, and people are being
God
so
forbid.
disrespectful.
Yes.
God
She's
forbid.
one of the most beautiful women
Human
Stunning.
ever.
And the same thing happened with
yeah.
Hillary Duff. Like,
Oh
wasn't
my
there an
gosh.
ad that was like, can you believe it? Like 37 or something like that. It's like, why are we
That's-
fixating on people's age?
And they're always
Wait,
like-
actually, I will say I did see some comments about me, just making it about myself.
You should. Please make it about you.
Because
Wait, who-
going back to When You Finish Saving the World, it came out, and like most of the fans of mostly Finn, they were like, this old woman, how like she's still
Are you
playing.
serious?
She's still
Jesus
playing like
Christ.
she's in high school. I'm like, wait a minute, aren't all the Euphoria kids my age? And that's like everyone.
Yeah, literally
I
fix
was
your mouth. Nina
22
Dobrev was 25 playing a 14-year-old season
I was
1.
like, I feel like I'm 45 years old.
I was
50
on
years
Glee
old.
where it was like on AARP live, and I was the only child
I'm
there.
like, I'm kind of like
Everyone was in
everyone
their
is my
30s.
age playing high school
People
or
are
older.
Also, by the
Yeah.
way, you have the most baby face, and you hate that about yourself.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
always
want.
say,
I
anytime
wish.
we call Alisha cute, she like
That's my yeah.
pulls a
never
knife
call
on
me
me.
cute.
Trigger word.
But like she is cute. Like your face is so precious.
I have these little, these cheeks.
Yeah,
These-
supple.
and this round face.
My mom is like, you're gonna be very grateful when you're, getting older. But I'm like, I want to, sometimes you just want to be.
I would
No,
feel
no,
that. You
don't-
want to be
don't say that,
snatched.
because-
I'm not that either.
No,
I'm a
because
big ass cheeks, round face.
like that's the thing. Everyone's doing this buccal fat bullshit removal.
Oh, I know.
Buccal.
And buccal. And here's the thing.
Is it
that
buccal or is it buccal?
It's
I
more
thought it
like
was
Buick.
buccal.
You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking.
beautiful.
Yes, you do.
That
Yes, you
provided
do.
no-
Know what I
don't.
mean?
That gave
I
no
do.
further explanation.
No, and I that's all there is to it.
Okay.
But I do think it's people just want to look so snatched all the time, like I do. That's how I contour my face. But at the end of the day, when you're like 50, you're gonna look like you're like barely walking.
Yeah.
When you do that, when it's like age, being young, and also like you looking young now. When you're 70, you're gonna look 40,
Also,
and that's a beautiful thing.
I'm trying to be Bianca Lawson.
Mhm.
Do you see that lovely black woman? 35 years old playing a high
Beyonce's
schooler.
stepsister,
Period.
an iconic woman who I
Period.
did try to use her name to get into the gold after party. It didn't work out well.
What do you mean you tried to use it? How'd you?
Did you know
Any-
that?
No, I didn't.
I
That's
did.
why
What are you
I'm
talking about?
Shook.
Going back to women aren't allowed to age.
Yes.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So that's, there's like this whole obsession of looking young, and well, it kind of goes against with this whole buccal fat removal because like
Google makes people look old as
yeah,
fuck.
so I'm confused. Like there's this duality.
also-
Yeah.
I also don't understand.
It's like but it makes sense though, because when you're really young, everyone's sexualized, everyone's
Yeah.
over matured.
Yeah.
Girls have way too much makeup on and are being put into this light, and then suddenly when you're older, you're getting hated for looking older. It's like a weird thing.
I have a weird relationship with it because I do get some work done sometimes. And it's not really to ever look young. It's more like to look what the trend is, aka like a lot of white women. I used to have curly hair. Like when you said the straightening the hair thing, that's what I used to do constantly. And I get my lips done, and I do like my lips, but like I went to get my lips done, and one of the estheticians was like, you should do something under your eyes. And what about thoughts about doing cheek and chin a little bit? And I was like, I was taken back a little bit, but I was also like, oh wait, maybe I should do this. And I went
Yeah.
home and I was like, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Not thinking like that goes against so much of my culture as well, because like Arabs are known for their sunken eyes, and like my cheeks, they're already big. Why do I need to make them bigger? And my chin, is it not prominent enough? And it was like, no matter what, as a woman or a female presenting human, you're damned. And it's like, yes, like two truths can exist where I do want to get my lips done, but I don't
and
want
you
to
should feel that agency to do whatever makes you
Yes.
feel beautiful, but
Yeah.
not to appease other people or
Yeah.
pander to beauty standards.
100%.
Speaking of beauty standards, and like you obviously talked about like projects that you've done, and girl, you were a part of like one of the biggest shows of I think like our time. Like I remember being in high school and
Oh my gosh,
13
what,
Reasons
you were in
coming
high
out.
school?
I was in high school.
I was finishing up high school, yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you guys?
I'm 24.
I'm
Girl, we're like the
24.
same age.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that.
Wait, I was 19.
Yeah,
What am I-
you were-
Yeah, why are you talking about
I was
you
like, wow, you were
She
in
said,
high
"Wow."
I was 46.
We just weren't killing it like you, but we were around the same age.
That's so
But
funny.
I was in Orange
She-
County at that time.
She literally was
College.
like, I was too busy like trying to cheer and run student government. I'm sorry, I was not a star like you, but that makes me want to ask you, how were you dealing with beauty trends and people having all these comments about the work that you were
Oh my
doing at such a young
gosh.
age? Because now, I think we're all still very young.
Yes.
But we're a little bit older.
Yeah.
And we've learned some things. But how is like navigating the industry and navigating like people always having something to say? Because you're on a very large platform.
Right.
So many
yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
13 Reasons Why came out. It was super popular, and it was overnight. It was kind of like the beginning of Netflix, like original. I mean, like it wasn't the beginning because you had House of Cards, which we're not Orange is the New Black. Orange is the New Black.
Period, period.
But then they didn't really have YA any popular YA original content, and then Stranger Things and 13 Reasons Why came out like within a year of each other or 2 years, I forgot. And it was this weird thing of all of a sudden I was very visible and I was so young. But I was also personally stepping into my adulthood. Like I was living alone and my friends had gone off to college, and I felt very lonely at the time, and then I felt highly visible at the time. And I was really depressed for years on that show, not because of the show, but because of just my personal life. And everyone was commenting on how I looked, and I had gained weight. I had gained maybe like 15, 20 pounds between seasons, which is a lot for like a young teenage girl to have to go through, and then especially in like a highly visible setting. And everyone online just would call me ugly. I had acne too, and like I would be called.
Because you were young. You were a young teenager.
I was like going through my second puberty. I was
Yeah.
and I was just like, all of a sudden I had money. I could afford food. I could afford like eating. I could afford like, because I was living in a 1-bedroom like Santa Monica and Vine apartment before I got this show. Like, having to support myself. But anyway, my body and my face and my like whole life had changed so much, and then everyone was commenting on it. I became even more insecure, and I just became so self-conscious, and I wanted to hide. And I was so hard on myself, and I felt so ugly because I was getting validation from other people.
Yeah.
And I in turn just wasn't taking care of my mental health or my well-being. And it started from the outside in. So like how I was presenting outside made me feel mentally unwell. So it was really hard. It's too much for a young girl to go through that. And especially I played a character who had been sexually assaulted. So a lot of the parallels of my life of like my character was going through, feeling out of her body and feeling so out of control with her body, not to compare my personal journey, because there's nothing comparable to sexual assault or being, raped. But it was my body was confused because I have to go into work every day. And then my character's also like, I hate my body. I hate my life. I hate this. And it was just, I was super young, and it was a learning curve. And then I got used to the visibility, and I got used to like people. It's just people type things and they forget about that I'm not a real person. And I just realized like, oh shit, like
no, it's
not
Twitter
true.
fingers.
Yeah,
and they're
like, it's
hiding
not
behind
true.
a screen, and because people think that they have agency towards you, and they have no idea who the fuck you are.
Exactly.
You know,
And then I realized like, damn, I'm really cute. And
yeah,
I was
like goddamn, you're fucking you're
hot.
one of the most
Every
beautiful
person,
humans.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'm staring
I've
at you
seen-
right now. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I actually thought about it for a second. I was like, yo, on this video, am I going to look crazy? Because I'm leaning in because I'm just like, you are so stunning and so
I
beautiful
love you.
and intelligent. But
no, it was a process. It was a process because it was just like, imagine being a teenager and you have to see yourself on screen and then
it's a mind fuck.
find your self-confidence, find yourself as like transitioning into womanhood.
Yeah.
And finding
in front of
that-
everyone.
in front of everyone.
She did
millions
transition.
of people.
No,
But it
I'm
makes me want to
pissing at
ask
that
you,
joke.
obviously, speaking of the past work that you've done and the importance and the weight that it's had, it makes me want to think, what are the goals that you have? Like, in regards to projects that you want to do? Like, are there other goals in the industry or even outside? Like, what do you see yourself? Ugh, I don't want to ask you that because sometimes I get annoyed.
Not in
I don't,
10 years.
yeah,
but,
I don't want to give a timeline. But
but,
what
but
are
places you want to be in.
the places you want to be in or intentions that you set for the future years to come?
I'd like to have more control over my career, I think, where in the sense of I'm not, relying on everyone else to give me this job that I need to, it's like I'm still like hustling, like I need to audition and I need to do this and that. I want to be able to have control of the stories that I'm a part of a bit. So I would love to be producers on stories that I really care about and move into that space. I love acting so much that it's just that this is kind of what I want to keep doing. I just want to move into being more, I guess, mindful about the projects and I don't know. I just want to keep working. Those are my goals.
But that's enough.
And you will. And
yeah,
I remember also another car ride. I was literally one of the
last
last
car rides.
One of the last days. This is the last car ride that I'll bring up. We were drinking whiskey in the back of this car ride, and you said, and I remember you said, I want to be intentional.
Yes,
this taught me so much. I want to be intentional.
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm getting myself into. I want to see into the future more when it comes to projects and not just taking them for face value, but really
you guys can relate because we started when we were really young with acting, so like it was you
take
kind
what
of
you can get
you
as a
take
kid.
what you can get and then
fun.
and it's fun
and you don't even think of it being like something that you need to decide to do.
Exactly.
It's summer camp with your friends, and then really quickly
and then
it
you're
becomes
like,
a commodity.
oh, this is a job.
Exactly.
And sorry, was that morbid? Really quickly, it's just a profession.
But it's a part of it. But
yeah,
I think also something that it's hard to do for all of us is to remind ourselves how far we've come. And I know if that girl living in that 1-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica and Vine was looking at you right now,
wow,
she would be so impressed by you. I mean, like, you have built so much and you have this beautiful life with like such a great community around you that I and we have been so blessed to meet. And shout out Mose. Imagine you're like, he cheated on me this morning. No.
We broke up.
Shout out Mose.
I have a new boyfriend, by the way. He's English.
Shout out.
He's still not from this country.
I understand. I have a Scottish girlfriend.
Not the
so
Italian.
we're UK girlies over here.
But Mose and Sky and Gideon and all these wonderful people, and like, I am just so proud of
Sky
you.
really wanted a shout out. Hello, Sky Benica.
Hi, Sky.
Hi, Sky. You're so pretty.
I am so proud of you. We are so proud of you, and I'm so excited for you to like take the harness of your career and especially just like step into yourself even more. You beautiful fucking woman.
I love you. I love you. And I love you.
I love you.
We love you.
Thank you for
coming.
letting me into your community, by the way, really quick. All of the barbecues, all of like
always.
And then boils.
Yeah, it's traumatizing and
know,
it's
right?
amazing.
I know.
We're a lot, but I feel like you
it's-
knew that before coming
I
in
knew.
here.
Crazy. I
I
remember
knew.
Josie was telling me. Josie was like, when you meet Alisha, you guys will cause destruction in the world together. And I remember you said that to me, and I was
No
like,
one has validated my pain more than Alisha Boe in a quiet cafe with expletives.
is it the cafe in Edinburgh that I went to say hi to the people?
She didn't really frequent Milk as much as
No,
I did,
I
but you know what?
didn't.
She was at Milk hanging out with her girlfriend, and then they were talking about me, and the barista came up to her and was like, "Do you know Josie?"
You're
I swear to
famous.
God,
famous
I
in
took
Edinburgh.
a photo. No, because she used to go and do work there all the time. But they don't have iced coffee there. That's the thing.
Well,
they don't have iced
nowhere
coffee
in
anywhere in
Europe.
Europe.
Yeah,
and
that's-
it
that's
looks at
a
me
huge
crazy too.
thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll go get some ice right now. But Alisha Boe, When You Finish Saving the World is the name of the movie.
That is the name of the movie.
And where can we see it?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm
Shut the
pissed
fuck
at
up.
that.
I think you
Shut
can
the fuck
buy it
up.
on Amazon now.
Okay.
You
I think
can-
so.
Amazon,
She plays a badass, politically conscious character.
Thank
Watch
you.
all her shit.
Stream
Watch
Do Revenge on Netflix.
Yes, that
funny as
one.
fuck.
Which we love, and look out for this Apple show, which we're unsure what the title is or when it's coming out or if it's coming out.
But
Yeah. Watch
just let it
Josie
be
and Alicia's
known,
show.
we have a show coming
we do
out.
have a show
Yes,
coming
you do.
out.
Yes, we're blessed that they found each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alicia, we love you.
I
Thank
love
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Yay.